Welcome to the Google Teacher Tribe podcast, your source for the latest news on Google for education, tips, tricks, and teaching ideas you can use in class tomorrow. And here are your hosts, Matt Miller from DitchThatTextbook.com and Casey Bell from ShakeUpLearning.com.
Here we are, folks, in episode 44 of the Google Teacher Tribe podcast. And Matt, I want to play a game. Are you okay with that?
I love games, yeah. I think we should totally play a game.
Love it. And it's so appropriate for today's episode. And many of our listeners may already know that I am a huge fan of Jimmy Fallon. Actually got to see him in New York, was in the Tonight Show, giddy like a little schoolgirl. And I have a presentation that I do and some blog posts too on how to use some of the games that he plays in the classroom. And they're super fun, but still hands down, my favorite one is Word Sneak. And it's a great game. It's fun. It's my favorite use is to use it for pre-assessment. But today, folks, Matt and I are going to play the game, a short version of the game. And we're just using some random words. And so the idea here, and Matt has never played the game, so I have to explain it to both the audience and to Matt. Matt is a Word Sneak virgin. Yes, somebody please Bitmoji that or give me some kind of drawing. This is going to be fun.
Somebody's going to drop a Bitmoji.
We're going to drop a Bitmoji on that one. So anyway, the gist of the game, and by the way, go to YouTube and just, search for Word Sneak and you'll see tons of really funny examples. My favorite is Bryan Cranston. Anyway, each participant, so it's usually Jimmy and whoever, his guest is, they have a card with a set of words on it. And they have to work these words into casual conversation. So you have to make it make sense. And it turns out to be pretty fun when you see this come to life. And I've done this in workshops and presentations, and it never fails to put a smile on someone's face. So Matt and I have our words ready to go. We each have 4 words that we are going to work into a casual conversation as our banter today. So Matt, are you ready?
I'm kind of nervous about this.
This is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. Okay. So Matt, on occasion, I like to enjoy a glass of rosé. How about you?
If I thought that it would help things out, like give me Jedi mind tricks that I could use or something, I might, but I generally don't.
Oh, you sidestepped that one. Good. All right. So Matt, I'm assuming your full name is Matthew, right? Or,
yes.
Wait, but there's a J before that. What does the J stand for?
It actually stands for Jeffrey.
Jeffrey. Can I call you Jimmy instead? People might be led to do that, but since I have my first name, what's the word, engraved on this flash drive that I carry around, when people ask me, I just show them that. Oh, man, because I really want to call you Jimmy Matt.
Jimmy Matt, yeah, there you go. That's right.
You would fit in so well in Texas if your name was Jimmy Matt.
Yeah, if my name was Jimmy Matt, I could have that embroidered on my shirt with a jalapeno and a cowboy hat.
Funny, but I hadn't worked my word in yet. So.
Oh no, this is what happens when I don't know how the game works.
It's okay. It's just supposed to be casual, but I'm having too much fun and talking way too much. But so Jimmy Matt, have you played with a new Google Jamboard yet?
I've seen one, but I haven't actually played with the Jamboard yet. Have you? I
might be super excited to get my hands on a Jamboard. They look really awesome. I'm a bit concerned at the cost. They don't necessarily seem to be something that is going to rock the education world just yet. However, I think we can find a way to get Jimmy Matt on the Jamboard, because I just want to say that.
Yeah. Yeah. If Jamboards are kind of expensive, they're kind of like a mustache in that they're not really practical, but they look cool.
Wow, that was such a stretch. And now you totally did it. Yeah. Have you ever had a mustache?
I'd like to not comment on that.
I want to see a picture. Okay, Jimmy Matt with the mustache. All right.
It was a moment of youthful indiscretion in college.
But when you have facial hair, like that, does it make it difficult to eat? Could you say like get guacamole stuck in your mustache?
It wasn't that big, I don't think, but I'm kind of a mess sometimes, so I probably could do that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I
think we're out of words now.
And everybody's totally lost, but yeah. So, just in case you didn't pick up on it, my words were rosé, Jimmy, Jamboard, and guacamole.
And mine were Jedi, flash drive, jalapeno, and mustache.
But anyway, it is a fun game. However, you can put an educational twist. Rosé may not be at the top of your vocab list this year, but I do think it is a fun. My preference is a pre-assessment because you're really going to know what they grasp when they have to use the word in a sentence, and it's an extra challenge to try to make it a real conversation instead of just like the static sentence. It's stands alone. So. Anyway, I have links in the show notes to all of the Teach Like Tonight shows. But we hope you had as much fun as we did.
We hope you haven't shut us off yet. We really do.
Yes. And Matt's no longer a word sneak virgin. So just in case you're wondering.
Right. It's my first time.
I'm totally embarrassing him tonight.
I am. My cheeks are all rosy. Not rosé.
So, Matt, what's up? What's in this episode?
We are going to have more educational silliness in this because we are going to be talking all about ways that you can you can get kids engaged in learning, engaged in class using Google and Google related things. So we're going to be talking all about that. We have a few cool news and updates to share with you. Of course, we've got great stuff from the tribe and a couple of blog posts to share. So are you ready for you and Jimmy Matt to get this episode started?
I'm loving your new nickname. Let's go. Let's jump into our Google news and updates. So a little known fact, I think that sort of slipped under the radar if you weren't necessarily paying attention, is Google for Education now has a Facebook page. What? Yes. So you can go join the official Google for Education Facebook page. When I saw it, I immediately shared it. It did sort of put me back a little bit because Google's been a little hesitant, to join the Facebook world, but I think they are getting pushed in that direction. So I think it's a good thing, and you want to follow it to get all of the latest updates. And of course, the link can be found in our show notes at googleteachertribe.com/44.
Yeah, you can find that at facebook.com/Google for Education, which is pretty easy. And they got some cool stuff out there. So next up on our list, we have the Google's EDU in 90. This is this neat series of little short 90-second videos that they have about, actually not exactly 90-second videos, but they're short. And they're about a variety of different things in education related to Google. And they're back. They have their second season. It's available on YouTube. You can check out some of their episodes. There's a variety of topics. So you've got things like coding with Google's CS First program and differentiation with Google Classroom. Some of the things that you may have seen or heard about on the Google Teacher Tribe. Coding on Chrome with web apps. So there's a variety of neat things out there that are definitely worth checking out.
Awesome. I also really love the fact that it's just such a short, sweet little package there, and we're all just trying to keep up, So another thing that, Jimmy Matt, you may be very interested in this. Let me just tell you that.
Are you going to keep calling me Jimmy Matt?
This is forever your name. I'm going to make a t-shirt and put it on the back. So yes, get ready, folks. Yeah, he's going to hate me forever. No, Jamboard is now officially a part of G Suite, which I think is a very interesting take for Google to make. Of course, it's part of Business and Enterprise and the other ones, but it's also part of G Suite for Education. So they are, at least it seems, going to be targeting more towards the educational market. And when this was first introduced, it definitely seemed to be targeted more to the business market. Now, if you've seen one of these in action, it is an interactive screen, an interactive television screen there or monitor that you can do lots of different things with a hefty price tag of $5,000. Plus management and rollout and all of these other types of fees, which was why I mentioned earlier, it hasn't exactly been something that everybody's jumping on board with costs sort of being a barrier. But there are definitely some interesting ways that we can see these being used and in a more interactive way with the classroom being more student-centered than, say, like a smart board at the front of the room. Because these are built, you can even see in some of the images that they have these sort of rolling stands. So they're built to sort of float around, float around the conference room, but also to float around the classroom, I hope. So I'm hoping we're going to see now some more introduction into terms of how this can be used in the classroom and learning more about these. Of course, I can't afford one yet, so I don't have one, but I am very interested. And of course, if anyone else has given this a shot and has some ideas, please share that with the tribe and the GT tribe hashtag.
Yeah. And, I was at a conference recently where they talked about the Jamboard a little bit. And if I remember correctly, I think that app will run on a touchscreen Chromebook that is using Google Play. So if we get to that point where, schools are starting to get more of those touchscreen Chromebooks that have the mobile apps available, then I could see that being a little bit more user friendly for a classroom and being more student centered than putting a big expensive touchscreen in the room and only one or two people being able to work off of it. So it will be really interesting to see how schools are using this. Next up on our list has to do with Google Earth. And of course, Google Earth got kind of relaunched not too long ago from being the clunky software program that it used to be to now a sleek and impressive looking web app. And since then, they've just recently launched a frequently asked questions page. So if you have questions about Google Earth or want to understand a little bit more about it, it has headings of common questions, trust, privacy, and security, integration with other Google services, and Earth features. And it even answers some of our curiosity questions, like where does Google Earth data come from? And is the imagery in Street View live? I'm going to ruin that one for you. It's not. It is not real time, but that would be pretty cool.
Someday it will be. Someday it will really scare us. Live would be pretty scary. Yeah. All right. Love Google Earth. So nice that they've put that FAQ page together for us. Another update that Google for Education has shared is an update to the Google for Education Transformation Center. And we mentioned this in a couple of episodes, especially when it was first released. And it's a very handy place to go look for ideas and get more resources. So the idea when you come to the Google for Education Transformation Center, of course, there's a homepage. They have a link to their framework, which we've mentioned the framework before, which is very student-centered and helping you decide how to guide that vision in your school. It's more about leadership. And that's really how you should think about the Transformation Center, I think, too, as a leadership resource. But they have been adding more to it, trying to make it searchable and user-friendly. You can even bookmark your own resources and come back to those later. Some of the other things you may find in here are the Innovator Projects. And guess what's an Innovator Project, Jimmy Matt?
The Google Teacher Tribe.
It is. We are in the Transformation Center. Actually, somebody messaged me the other day. They stumbled upon us by accident, and they're like, "I didn't know that was an Innovator Project." Yes, this is a product of the Google Innovator Academy, or what we went through was the Google Teacher Academy. But it's a great resource. Go check it out.
The Google Teacher Tribe podcast is a proud member of the Education Podcast Network. The Education Podcast Network. Podcasts for educators, podcasts by educators. For more great education podcasts, go to edupodcastnetwork.com. So Tribe, we're going to be talking all about ways that we can use Google to increase student engagement. One of my favorite books about student engagement has got to be Teach Like a Pirate, written by Dave Burgess. And Kasey and I kind of went back and forth a little bit on a title for this episode and finally landed on Google Like a Pirate, because we feel like, there's a lot that you can do with the Google tools in the classroom to help students create and to help students find information and to collaborate and all of that. But there's also a lot of benefit to getting kids hooked into our lessons and to just pique their interest and get them excited about learning. And, one big part of that engagement piece is humor, right, Kasey?
Absolutely. And just like Matt and I hopefully demonstrated in the beginning of this episode, that, there are lots of different strategies and games and things that we can use. And humor has a great place in the classroom. I loved using humor in my classroom. I learned a lot and went to a few conferences where this sort of took a focus. And I learned a lot about the research. There's a lot of research that backs this up, that if you're laughing while you're learning, you're more likely to remember it. So even though Matt and I were sort of doing some silly words, those could have been mixed in with some very legit vocabulary words. And the fact that we were learning how to use it and thinking about it deeply in a conversation is going to help us remember it. And then we're going to add that extra little laughter to help us remember a little more. So I'm never going to forget Jimmy, Matt. So
I know. Yeah, that's there forever, I think. And, there's also research out there that shows how, whenever humor is brought into the conversation, that our brains light up an MRI scan, so, there's all sorts of cognitive abilities that are going on whenever we're laughing. Our brains are sort of re-engaged. So I think that there's definitely some connection there.
Absolutely. And, I've linked in our show notes to one of my presentations that I do on Teach Like the Tonight Show that has links to some of the research that I have found. And I also have a couple of slides on some do's and some don'ts. I'm not going to read everything to you, but I want you to know that that's in there. Humor can be good, but it can also go totally, totally wrong. So you want to use it in an appropriate manner to have fun, to create a community, to enhance your content, and to break up the mundane. But it can get old. The same strategies over and over again are not going to be if we did word sneak every day, it's not going to be as much fun. So,
exactly.
It's all about finding that balance there.
Yeah, definitely. So, Kasey and I have some examples of ways to use humor, using some Google tools and some other digital things, but also just to boost the level of engagement in the classroom. And so, I'll get started with one of mine. One thing that I love to do to really get kids engaged in a lesson is to bring in comic strips using Google Drawings. And of course, Google Drawings is hands down one of my favorite of all of the Google tools. It's kind of like a digital poster board, so to speak. And so by inserting images, my favorite way to do it is to use the webcam and to take pictures with the webcam. Is to bring in a handful of those pictures and kind of like tell a story, so to speak. If you can think of kind of like a 6-panel comic strip, like what you'd see in the Sunday newspaper when they had the color comic strips, and having these pictures in there, adding some speech bubbles with the shapes in Google Drawings, even maybe pulling in some images to include props. Bitmojis are always fun to do if those are appropriate to use with your class. And just by mixing all of those together, it creates a really sort of creative way to approach your content, and really, just puts a unique spin on learning. And so I think just that in and of itself can be a lot of fun and can draw kids into content in a new and different way.
Absolutely. There's so many fun little strategies that we can do now. And with Google tools in our back pocket, it just becomes that much easier. So even though a lot of the strategies that we're talking about obviously can go beyond Google or not even include technology at all, it doesn't have to. WordSync does not. It could if you wanted to, put a twist on it. But one of the ideas that I pulled from the Tonight Show that didn't involve really that type of thing. I took the Internet Pop Quiz, and if you've ever watched the Tonight Show, occasionally he does this segment that's sort of behind the scenes. It doesn't happen on the set. And so the guest has to answer these random questions about their internet behaviors. Wonder what might come out of that, right? So I took the questions that they ask from that and I put it into a Google slide deck so that it then became a digital version. And so I made this as the Internet Pop Quiz Teacher Edition with Google Slides. And guess what? It is super fun. And when I posted this online, I posted my own example. So I answered the questions and then I put it out there for people to make a copy of. And so we were all getting to know each other. And so I felt like this was a great get to know you type of activity. Of course, it could be used for lots of other types of things, but it's staying true to, your internet pop quiz. So things like, what's the last thing you ordered online? What's your record for the most episodes of a TV show watched in one sitting? What's your most used app? What's your most used app in the classroom? So sort of mixing in, both those professional learning things and the fun stuff. I think it's about finding that balance, sort of like with WordSneak. WordSneak would not be fun if you stuck to strict, boring vocabulary words. Right. I'm sorry, but you got to throw in a little bit of the Jamboard, a little bit of the rosé, whatever is appropriate for your students, of course. But, like I said, this is a great get to know you activity, and you could have students asking all kinds of those sort of icebreaker questions. But instead of answering it on video, which obviously they could do video too, but this is just built into Google Slides. So then they can comment on each other's and students can get to know each other that way as well.
Yeah, and I don't think that this is off base at all for the classroom because, it's kind of like, we mentioned Teach Like a Pirate earlier. Another book I love is Lead Like a Pirate. And one of the quotes that I love out of that book is culture first, culture next, culture always. And if we want to build that culture, we've got to include some things like this in the classroom. And the more that we can build that up, I think the better our learning environment will be overall. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Kasey.
No, I totally agree. That whole building the relationships and building the community itself is so critical. And I do think that can help contribute to that. Yeah,
definitely. So to move on to my next one, another neat way that I think that you can engage students in the classroom, and this could be a good kind of like opening kind of like bell ringer type activity, or if you can tie this into the content that you're studying, there is this really neat thing called the 5-Clue Challenge. It was started up by a friend of mine named Mike Soskel, who's a teacher in Pennsylvania. And the Google connection here is that it's all hosted on YouTube. And basically what Mike has done and what other people have done is they'll record these little videos where they give 5 clues about where they are at that moment. And the clues go from very vague and general down to the very specific. And the earlier that you can guess where that person is, the kind of like the more points that you earn in the game. And so there are, just dozens and dozens of these videos. It's almost like a mystery Skype game without having to schedule a live video call. You kind of get that same thing. So, there are so many of these 5-Clue Challenge videos out there that you could do just about one every day for weeks and weeks and weeks. So that's a fun thing to do, but then also to record your own is a blast too. I've recorded a few of them and put them onto the page too. So, and there's of course a link in the show notes to be able to get to the 5-Clue Challenge website.
That's awesome. I love the problem solving aspect of that too, building that in and helping to engage them with something really super cool to solve and the CSI twist on things. Now, in case you're wondering, of course, we do have links in our show notes, but we did the word sneak earlier, and I do have a blog post on this. And this is a game, like I said, that I use in workshops and presentations as well. And I have a word sneak that I use when I'm teaching Google Chrome. So if you're another trainer like I am and you teach Google Chrome, it's a fun little introduction to that. The other thing that I wanted to share that's a little less specific to Google is the hashtag challenge. So, all part of my Teach Like the Tonight Show stuff. But, Jimmy puts out these challenges each week and he gives a hashtag. And so everybody has to, of course, post on Twitter, whatever it is. And, they'll have things like teacher fail was one. It's actually hilarious. And I think that one's also in my slides too. But for Digital Learning Day a few years ago, I put out a hashtag challenge as the Digital Learning Day Rap Challenge. And so, of course, this was when Twitter was still 140 characters, but you had to write a rap song that had to do with educational technology and digital learning and post that on Twitter. And they were hilarious. It was so much fun.
Oh my goodness. I can only imagine 140 character tweets that were raps by teachers about digital learning. Oh man,
they got pretty creative. So
I think the word that probably would describe that would be adorkable. A nice mix of adorable.
Oh no, Jimmy Mac, you did. I'm going to call you Jimmy Mac now.
Mac. I don't know which one I like better. We'll just go.
Jimmy Mac is probably more Texas appropriate. So when you come to Texas, that's what I'll call you. But otherwise, you'll be Jimmy Mac.
Okay, I can handle that. All right. So the last one that I've got on my list, this is honestly something that I have not tried yet. I'll just be totally transparent with you, but I think this would be so cool. When I saw My Maps for the first time, My Maps is the custom mapping tool that you can use where you drop pins on different locations all over the map, and then you can write in titles and descriptions and put clickable links and pictures with all of those pins. So if you've never seen My Maps, if you can imagine that, I think this would have an awesome connection to like CSI, like crime scene investigations, like, being a detective. And if you drop all of these pins all over a city or all over a country, I almost think it would be kind of like Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, and where you go to all the different locations and you pick up clues and there's an ultimate problem to be solved. And so, of course, if that ties back to your class's content, then that could be a really fun thing. And even dropping some evidence around whatever city or country that you're using that kind of takes them off of the scent, so to speak. That's like a distractor. And you put all of this stuff out there, and then students have to take that evidence and all of those clues and be able to solve the problem. So I think that would be an awesome way to sneak some content into a really fun learning activity.
I love that. I think that is fun. I would love to do a Where in the World is the Google Teacher Tribe My Map. I would like to see where everybody is.
That would be fun.
Yeah, I think that's fun. Yeah, My Maps is an underutilized tool for
totally
sure.
Agree.
So if you haven't checked that out, it's all inside your Google Drive now, and a great resource. Mm-hmm. And of course, all of these ideas, links, everything is there for you in our show notes at googleteachertribe.com/44.
Okay, Tribe, let's dig into the mailbag. And the first one that we've got today comes from Peggy Volek, who is a second grade teacher from Pennsylvania. And she has a question about Google Slides. Go ahead and take it, Peggy.
Hi, my name is Peggy Volek, and I teach second grade in Pennsylvania. I have a question that I thought maybe you could help with. I use a published slideshow for a poem a day, and I love that the kids can go and read and practice fluency, but I like to change the poem and move the one that we just read to the bottom of the list in the slideshow presentation. So without doing that manually, is there an easy way to do that? It is a continuous document. Every time I find a fun poem or something that goes with a skill, I keep adding to it. And I try to have a sequence to it. but I just really don't want to have to manipulate the slideshow every day at the end of reading that poem. So I was wondering if there was an easy add-on or extension or something that could help. Thanks.
All right. So I think this is a really neat idea for organizing these poems. And I could totally see how this would be a pain in the neck to move things around. Now, not too long ago, I know Dennis Sheeran, who is all over Twitter, and he wrote the book called Instant Relevance. Dennis, not too long ago, had this Google Chrome extension commissioned. And it's a slide sorter extension, kind of like what you're able to do in PowerPoint. And basically what you can do with this extension is you can zoom out and see all of your slides in a great big grid, and then you can drag them around. So Peggy, I bet if you tried this out, this may be better than the way that you're doing it right now. So definitely might be worth checking out. And we've got a link to that Chrome extension in the show notes at googleteachertribe.com/44.
I'm sort of mesmerized right now because Matt created an animated GIF to show this, and it's hypnotizing me right now, Matt. It's watching the slides move around and around, but that is so helpful because it got so old trying to move those slides all the way down to the bottom. So I definitely understand that. The last thing that I wanted to share today was a really fun idea from Don Yerks Jr., and he shared this on Twitter after last week's episode where we talked about bell ringers and happened to mention an exit ticket, which I know is not a bell ringer, but we did sort of get off topic there. And he created an emoji exit ticket, which I thought was just a really fun way to do an exit ticket. And so the link to his tweet is there, and you can see a screenshot of what he did, but he just shared, drag and drop these red circles below over. So you're basically going to circle the emoji that reflects how you felt about today's lesson. And then you have to explain your reasons why, because as we talked about last week's episode, we don't always know what the emoji might be meaning to someone individually. So a great way and a fun way, because the kids are going to like that, and it's going to help you get a deeper understanding about how they feel in terms of their learning, as opposed to just asking those same types of evaluation type of questions.
And it's got emojis, which makes it even more fun.
Yeah. Drop an emoji on it.
Oh, I love that. That was great.
So just a couple of quick shares from the blogosphere. I wanted to share the Google Certified Educator Level 2 Capacity Matrix, which is finally done. I have had Level 1 out for some time now, and everybody's been begging for Level 2. So what this is actually a downloadable PDF with all of the skills that you need to pass the Google Certified Educator Level 2 exam, with links to the support center and tutorials and videos and other information to help you self-assess, see where you are, fill in those gaps, and go learn what you need to learn to pass that exam. And I also just wanted to mention, I'm including links in the show notes. My courses will be opening in May. So if you want to join the wait list, you can fill out the form and join the wait list for Level 1, Level 2, or for Google Certified Trainer if you're interested in those.
And then what I wanted to share is a blog that I found not too long ago. I think it was just this week, and it's called Create Interactive Stories with the Story Speaker add-on. And we talked about the Story Speaker several episodes ago. This is something that works with Google Docs. It's a Google Docs add-on, but it also integrates very well with Google Home, and basically allows you to create a script for your Google Home so that you can write what you want your Google Home to say, and then depending on how somebody answers, then it will go to a different response. Kind of like a choose your own adventure type of book, only you can create these through a document. And Meredith Akers wrote a blog post about this, about a couple of ways that this could be used in the classroom. And this is something that I've wanted to dig into myself. I have a number of ideas swirling in my head of how this could be used too. but she beat me to the punch, and several other people have too. But I really liked her take on it, and so yeah, definitely go check that out and see how this Story Speaker add-on might be usable in your own class or your school. All right, tribe. Hopefully that all of that silliness and all of that student engagement and that humor and everything, hopefully you're still with us now, but it's been a lot of fun. And, I think this is maybe a good reminder of the power that humor can have and fun can have in the classroom, and that fun can be serious business and have to do with serious learning too. And so hopefully you've got some new ideas on how to bring student engagement into the classroom using Google.
Yes, and hopefully we have given some credibility to Google like a pirate and shown you some ideas that we can use, that we use in the classroom, that we use in professional learning. And, we had a lot of fun today. Yeah. Can I just say that? So we had fun recording. We always have fun. And, we're always excited to share with the tribe. Now, Matt, can I confess something?
This is kind of scaring me too.
Is that okay?
Go ahead.
Like, what
am I going to say at this point? Yeah. Go ahead, Kasey.
Well, I think this is true of you too, but I'm a little competitive.
Yeah, I'm definitely competitive.
So I want the people who are still listening, who still love us, go leave us a review in iTunes, because there are some things in iTunes that should not be number one right now.
Oh,
can we just say that? And there's some things that shouldn't be in the K-12 category that are. I'm not at all negating the great podcasts that are out there, but I just want to actually just thank everybody for listening and subscribing. And if you want to, please leave us a review, and that helps other teachers find us. So if you will, take a moment to do that, and please keep sharing everywhere you are on Twitter and sharing with each other, because that's what makes us all better together.
Now, would it be fun to do a little bit of word sneak into their iTunes review to see if they can squeeze one of those words from our word sneak game into their review? I'm not saying you have to, but I'm just saying if it happened, I would notice.
Actually, I would like to word sneak some of the official Google Teacher Tribe words. How's that? So in this episode, we have now dubbed Jimmy Matt. Super excited. Fant.
Yes.
What else have we made up along the way? Anyway, we have fun, and we hope y'all are still hanging with us. But yeah, that would be fun if you want to sneak in some of those words into your review. We will know you were really listening.
Yes, that's right. So I think it's about time to wrap this up. So this is Jimmy Matt Miller telling you that we will see you on the next episode of the Google Teacher Tribe podcast.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks for listening to the Google Teacher Tribe podcast. Keep up with every new episode by subscribing on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher, and by visiting GoogleTeacherTribe.com. Get in on the conversation on Twitter by using the hashtag GTTribe. Until next time, keep harnessing the G Suite power, and may the Googles be with you.